Hi, everybody. Saxophone players, we are going to talk about some stuff today to get your things assembled to get ready to play. Okay? You need a bunch of items. All right. The water we won't need when we're in band, but because it's our first time and we want to have our hands free, and for me, I can't talk with a reed in my mouth. We're going to want our water. So this is item number 1. Item number 2 is one of those reeds that you got from your box. We're going to put that right in the water for now. Item 3 is this cork grease. 4 is the neck. 5 is the actual mouthpiece. It's got the opening, and it's going to kind of look like this. 6 is your ligature, and 7 is your mouthpiece cap to go on it at the end. Please find these 7 items right now. You have all 7 items. You're ready to go, okay? The first thing we just did was put that reed in our cup of water. Now, the tip of a reed is literally as thin as a piece of paper. If you hold it up to light, you can see it's just about see-through. So we want to really be careful. We will never really touch the tip of this. We'll always be very gentle with it. I'm going to put that in my water for now. The next thing I'm going to do is get out my cork grease. Now, some of you might not have cork grease. That's okay. We can get you some, but it might be necessary for you to do the next step, okay? So some cork grease. If you need some, you can either contact Ward Brat, a music store, or you can email Ms. Twitter or Mr. Dorner, and we can help you get one, all right? The saxophone neck is very delicate. There's a cork here, and there's this end that goes into the saxophone itself, but the mechanism here is very, very easy to damage. When we do this next part, I'm going to have you hold it underneath so your hands aren't actually on top holding this down and kind of cranking on it. We're just going to avoid it altogether by holding it like this, okay? With my cork grease, I'm just going to put a little on. You don't need a ton. If you can see how much you put on, you probably did too much. And then get it all around. Too much just ends up collecting dirt and gunking up your instrument, and it can get kind of hard to play. Next item we have is our saxophone mouthpiece. The saxophone mouthpiece end is going to go on our neck. But notice I'm not going to just shove on. I'm going to push and twist the whole time, avoiding touching this. It might not go on super easy, and that's okay. That's what the cork grease is for. Go ahead and spin it around a little bit. Get that cork grease really on there. When it's on about that far, so maybe there's a 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch of your cork showing, we're pretty good. The next item I have is called my ligature. Say ligature. No, like actually say the word ligature. I know it's silly to talk to yourself in your bedroom or your office or your basement. Say ligature, right? It's the part that holds our reed on. It's going to go on our mouthpiece. Now, you might not know if it's upside down or not. Well, the way you can always tell is when you put it on, the screws are going to face the right. If you have a backwards ligature like I do, it'll go on backwards, but the screw will still always go to the right. Notice how it's just a little different. 99% of you will have these, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. All right, the last item is putting our reed on. Now I'm going to loosen up this ligature so it can make sure that the reed can slip down in it. I have my reed I soaked in water. There is the top part that looks like it's been shaved down, the bottom part that looks like it's still wood. And then if you look on the back, there's writing, okay? I'm going to take this writing part, and actually that's the side that's going to go down. Watch how I do that. Sliding my ligature up with my right hand, reed in my left hand, again, careful not to touch that tip. We don't ever want to push this down or it'll break. I'm going to slide that reed in. Now, not inside the mouthpiece. It's going to just slide underneath that ligature and come out the other side. Okay? I'm going to then get it kind of assembled like this. With my thumbs and my other thumb, I'm going to shimmy them down, get them kind of both into the right position. Okay, notice how I'm not touching the tip. I'm getting them both centered, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to do is make sure it's correct in all 3 points. Point number 1, the reed needs to be perfectly even with the top of the mouthpiece. If I look back here, can I see it accidentally peeking up over the top? If I look at it at the front, do I see a little gap? I want to have it exactly dead even. Don't test it by touching, test it by looking. Test point number 2. Is the bottom centered? I think you'll notice that it looks good at the top, but notice how my bottom is really off-centered. Having it centered means the reed gets equal pressure from all points, and that's important to you because it's way easier to play. I have the top centered. I just did some shimming on the bottom. I have that centered. The last thing to do is center that ligature and tighten the screws just enough so nothing slips out of place, okay? You can test if it's in the right spot by looking here. Is there a little line on your mouthpiece? My saxophone one doesn't have it, but you'll see on my clarinet, see there's a little line? The line is on there so that your ligature can go below that line. That's what they make it on there for. If you don't have a line, and most of you will, but if you don't, it's gonna go below this little beak right here, this little kind of flat point right there, okay? Once I've checked to make sure my reed is perfectly even on top, perfectly centered on bottom, and the ligature is below that line, not too super tight, but snug enough so it doesn't slip, you're in good shape. Okay, the next video you're gonna do is actually doing this whole process with me. So don't worry if you missed it. You're gonna actually do this process with me in the next video. Good luck.